ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe Rapari, and this is Tab, the Truth Always Boomer. Welcome to another edition of Impeachment Polooza. And this will probably be the last time I cover these ridiculous impeachment hearings because it's boring and these people don't know anything and the Democrats' case is down the toilet and it's bogus and it's bullshit and I don't feel like covering it anymore unless some startling new revelation comes out, which I doubt that's ever going to happen. So, let's get started, and I'll start with Ambassador Sondland. So let's pull the tab on that and see what happens. So Sondland basically blew the Democrats' case right out of the water. It's pretty self-explanatory. Check it out.
Answer the question. Is it correct? No one on this planet told you that Donald Trump was tying this aid to the investigations? Because if your answer is yes, then the chairman's wrong and the headline on CNN is wrong. No one on this planet told you that President Trump was tying aid to investigations. Yes or no?
Yes.
Case is dismissed. What can you say about that? Then we have David Holmes, who was the U.S. Political Affairs Counselor in Ukraine. Now, his claim to fame is that he went to a restaurant with Ambassador Sondland, and he sat across from the ambassador at a table, and he was able to overhear Ambassador Sondland's cell phone conversation with President Trump that was not on speakerphone, but he could hear it across, sitting across the table from him. And he relayed what he heard, the president, telling Sondland about a quid pro quo or asking about if he was going to do the investigation, he being the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and, things like that. And, the typical Democratic propaganda narrative. And he said he could hear that over the phone. And then CNN, the brilliant folks at CNN and Fredo at CNN decided they were going to try to replicate that to see if you could actually hear somebody's conversation on a cell phone sitting about 6 feet away. Well, all you got to do is say the letter CNN and you know what happened. It's friggin' priceless. Check it out.
While Ambassador Sondland's phone was not on speakerphone, I could hear the president's voice through the earpiece of the phone. The president's voice was loud and recognizable. And Ambassador Sondland held the phone away from his ear for a period of time, presumably because of the loud volume. I heard Ambassador Sondland greet the president and explain he was calling from Kyiv. I heard President Trump then clarify that Ambassador Sondland was in Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland replied yes, he was in Ukraine, and went on to state that President Zelensky, quote, loves your ass. I then heard President Trump ask, so he's going to do the investigation. Ambassador Sondland replied that he's going to do it.
Very interesting theory from our president, that he has really good hearing, some would say the best hearing ever, and he's never been able to hear a phone call when it wasn't on speakerphone from anybody. So let's just play with that for a second. Mom, can you hear me? All right, so if I were holding the phone here, I'm with Dana Bash. You know how you're always telling me to let her talk because she's so smart and I shouldn't say so much? Can you just say hello? Mom, she probably can't hear me. Mom, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. When you talk to me, I hear you.
I'm talking to you. Say hello to Dana Bash.
Hi, Mrs. Cuomo. How are you?
All right. So
I can't hear your mother, Chris.
You're over there. So
this is across the table.
This is
What the fuck? What the fuck was that?
Then we have Fiona Hill and her prim and proper English accent. And she was the former National Security Council director. And she was asked about various people by Devin Nunes, specifically Alexandra Chalupa, Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr, Glenn Simpson, Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, and she was pretty much clueless. She didn't know that Alexandra Chalupa was a DNC operative who was sent to Ukraine to gather dirt on the Trump campaign. She got that dirt from a parliamentarian named Lashenko, and she sent that dirt to Nellie Orr, who worked for Fusion GPS, and the owner of Fusion GPS was Glenn Simpson, who got the money for this dirt that was used to create the dossier from the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign. And the funds were funneled through a law firm called Perkins Coie to get to Fusion GPS, to get to Chalupa, so they could get the dossiers going. And I said dossiers with an S because there was a bunch of them. And you know all about the dossier. It was used to get a FISA warrant and blah, 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 to spy on the Trump campaign. But Ms. Hill and her prim and proper English accent was completely clueless about the corruption in Ukraine as it relates to, you know, the scenario I just gave you. She was clueless. And she also said she saw a copy of the dossier the day before it was released by BuzzFeed. She saw the dossier and she didn't say anything about it. She didn't raise a red flag. She didn't say a word. She just, oh, look at this. This is a bunch of dirt on Trump. This is great. I'm not going to say a word about this. Didn't raise a red flag. She didn't have any concerns about national security or anything like that. About spying on a political campaign. Nothing, huh? She just looked at it with her prim and proper English accent and didn't do a damn thing. So check it out.
Same question for you, Dr. Hill. Do you know or have you met with Alexandra Chalupa?
No.
Nellie Orr?
No.
Bruce Orr?
Only in the course of my previous position as the National Intelligence Officer for Russia, where he attended some of the meetings that I presided over.
Years ago?
That's a long time ago, correct?
Glenn Simpson?
No.
You stated in your deposition that a colleague had showed you the Steele dossier before it was published. Who was that colleague?
That was one of my colleagues at the Brookings Institution.
And who was that?
That was the Brookings Institution President Strobe Talbot, who had been sent a copy of this.
And he shared it with you?
That was the day before it was published in BuzzFeed.
You mentioned in your deposition also that you thought that it was let's get the exact quote, that the dossier was a rabbit hole. Is that still your testimony?
That's correct.
Do you know who paid Christopher Steele to generate the Steele dossiers? There were several of them.
At the time, I did not know.
You know who was, and there was a law firm involved, but you know who the source of the money was?
I didn't at the time. No, I did not.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
I would definitely have to admit that throughout my lifetime I have been a little bit stupid.
And last, and surely least, we have Adam Schiff's closing. I don't know what to say, man. What a fucking snake. I don't know what else to call this motherfucker. He is a hideous human being. Check out this little crybaby.
An unethical president who believes they are above the law. And I would just say to people watching here at home and around the world,
I am an idiot.
In the words of my great colleague, we are better than that.
Well, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. It would be greatly appreciated. That's it for now. More news later. Take care, and as always, be safe.